Well, Donald Trump has beat Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election. And where we go from here, I don't know.
You can't say that.
Sir, you can't
Is
say
he
that.
allowed to say
I'll
that?
say it louder.
So last night we held the 2024 presidential election. Early into the election, when the numbers started coming in, it already looked like Trump was going to win. I had theorized in the previous video what the outcome was going to be. That he was going to win and America was not ready to elect a woman and to elect a black woman. And also, people might be aligned with Donald Trump's policy, but it's my theory, it's my observation that America is not ready to elect a woman and elect a black woman and to be in the president of the United States. For all the progressiveness that we have in this country, I don't think that we're there yet. Not saying we can't ever get there, but if there was going to be a woman president at this time, it probably would have been Hillary Clinton in 2016, and we see the whooping that Donald Trump put on her. So I just don't think that we're there yet. For as much as I wanted her to win because the things in my life align with what she was bringing to the table, it wasn't her night. So today, Trump, the race has been called and Trump is going to be the president once again. What I want to look at is the reaction. What are people saying post the election, and what direction do they think the country is moving in now that Donald Trump is going to be back in office? So we've got this X post. It says, what are your thoughts on the 2024 election? The first commenter says, if Kamala was a man, she would have won by now. I think Kamala was in her own way a lot. She declined doing the Joe Rogan podcast. She didn't seem like she was very, unfortunately, as intelligent as she is, right? As well credentialed as she is, she didn't seem like she was such a great public speaker. She didn't have the charisma that Obama has, even though she was as credentialed, as qualified. She just didn't seem to have a way of capturing people. It seemed like anytime she spoke, it seemed like she had a couple talking points and she wanted to stick to those. Always talking about the opportunity economy. Always talking about she grew up in a middle class family. What Trump had as a benefit is he was a reality TV star. He's used to the camera. He's used to shooting from the hip, saying whatever it is that's on his mind. And we saw that a lot when he was interacting on the different podcasts, whether it be Joe Rogan or Flagrant or any of the other ones, any of the other media appearances that he did. And I think that Kamala did herself a disservice, Vice President Kamala Harris. I think she did herself a disservice by not appealing to a wider range of audiences, on top of all the other hurdles that she had, right? She came into the campaign pretty late. It was kind of dropped in her lap and they told her to run with it. So she didn't get the full runway of a normal presidential candidacy. There's a lot of people that expected us to reelect Trump. He has a past of being in the White House, and there are people that thinks that he did a good job, right? I think he had 70 million people that voted for him at the time that I stopped watching. He had 70 million people that voted for him. Some of those people might be voting against Kamala Harris because she's a woman, right? I do believe that. I do believe there are some people that just genuinely don't believe that somebody is capable of doing a job of this caliber because she has a vagina. But there are some people that just align with his ideology, align with his policies, and they think that he'll do a better job based on the fact that he's in the office before and it seemed like the economy was booming. If you let Barack Obama tell it, Trump's economy boomed off the back of his work. And whether that's true or not, people are looking at the person that's sitting in a chair and saying, this is happening because of you. So there are people that want to get back to that. Here's one that says, Donald Trump treated, it's rigged. If he wins, I'm glad he won't be able to be president again. What's interesting about this is both sides think that, what's interesting to me about this is both sides are saying that the other side is cheating. Barack Obama put out a tweet when the polls first started coming in. And I looked in the comment and it was all people that were Republicans, conservatives, and just general Trump supporters. And they were saying that they were looking that Obama was getting prepped to fix the election. Prior to in the weeks leading up to the election as well, I kept hearing that Democrats were importing immigrants into all of these sanctuary states and sanctuary cities in order to boost up the numbers so that they could have illegal immigrants voting. That was the narrative. I'm not sure if you heard it, but I heard it. And based on the election results, I wonder if anybody is going to backtrack on what they said, because the results don't speak to that. The results show that there were more people supporting Trump. He won the popular vote and the electoral college vote. So you spread propaganda saying that people were being imported into these cities in order to boost the Democrats' numbers. But the Democrats still lost. But I doubt the people are going to backtrack and say that they were wrong in that assumption, that immigrants were being imported into these sanctuary cities to boost the Democrats' numbers. But what's happening now is Democrats are saying that the Republicans rigged the election now that Trump has won. And like I said in my last video, it's going to be a bunch of finger pointing, a bunch of people disagreeing about the results of the election. Who doesn't disagree with the results of the election is Kamala Harris. She succeeded and congratulated Trump on his win. And let's see what she had to say. Vice President Kamala Harris says, "We must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power. A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose, we accept the results." Obviously, this seems like a nod back to January 6th. She's saying, we know how you guys play for the people that are accusing Trump of the insurrection. I'm not here to argue that. It is what it is. It happened, and you guys can debate it down in the comment section whether he incited that or not. But what she's saying is, we know how you guys play when you lose. You're sore losers. But we're not going to act like that. We're going to give you everything that you need to succeed, because at the end of the day, we're all Americans. And if your ship sinks, we all sink. So shout out to her for that. And of course, that's just being a regular person. All of the shit that happened in 2020 when Trump lost and it was time to hand over the reins, very, very disrespectful to the American democratic process. Now let's take a look what a few other people on the internet had to say about the results of the election. This user says, things that will not work for the Democrats in 2028. Calling black people stupid. I did not catch this comment from Roland Martin calling black people stupid. I'm not sure in what context that they said that, but of course black people are not stupid. Are there uneducated and unintelligent people in the black community? Absolutely. There are uneducated and unintelligent people in all communities. So I'm not sure the context, but Roland Martin, watch your mouth. Plies. Nobody gives a fuck what Plies has to say. Nobody gives a fuck what D.L. Hughley, Ricky Smiley has to say. Angela Rye, I know she's a political figurehead. I'm not entirely sure I'm not too familiar with her rhetoric, but I know she appears with Charlemagne a lot. And nobody gives a fuck what Charlemagne has to say. So by extension, unfortunately, Angela Rye, you fall in that category. I don't know who Luke is. Nobody gives a fuck what Steve Harvey has to say. Nobody cares about celebrities getting on stage, twerking and singing and telling people they need to go out and vote and who to vote for. Ignoring grassroots. These are the people that go and knock on the doors and hand out flyers and are passing out information. You absolutely have to respect that these people are giving up their time, their free time, to go and campaign in these neighborhoods and attempt to support a candidate. So I'm not sure if they ignore grassroots on the Democratic side, but these people are vastly important to getting the word out about campaigns. I'm not sure who the shills attacking us are that this person is referring to. The Obama finger wagging. This person is referring to Barack Obama telling black men, accusing black men of not wanting to vote for Kamala Harris because she's a woman. I said earlier that there are some misogynists that are going to look at her campaign and say, we're not voting for her. The woman can't do that. That's absolutely true. But to make the claim or to insinuate that that's the mindset and that's the ideology of black men in general is wildly disrespectful. And it kind of reminds me of when Bill Cosby was telling the black community how to fix themselves, and he's a goddamn rapist. So, it's interesting. I'm not saying Obama's a rapist or nothing, but we're not feeling that. I'm not sure who called us Pookie. Van Jones, Trump said that Van Jones was crying in his office. That's what the person's referring to here. Not being serious about reparations / the black agenda, foreign affairs, and immigration. One of the things that I wanted to vote Trump for was his stance on immigration. Sending people that come into this country illegally back to the country that they come from. I'm not saying that we cannot help support our fellow man, but as a taxpaying citizen, I do not want my dollars going to people that come here illegally. Unfortunately, that's just not where I stand. We have enough problems here as Americans that we need to fix them first. You always, when the plane is going down, they say, put on your mask first. You don't start inviting people to your aisle and saying, oh, I'm gonna help you out and you can just come over here and we'll take care of you as well. You put on your mask first, and our mask is not on. We're not doing well. An issue that I had with voting for Donald Trump was the topic of reparations. There was an opportunity for the Supreme Court to take up a case where 3 surviving members of the 1921 Tulsa, Oklahoma race massacre, where they were asking for reparations. The Supreme Court denied their appeal. And this speaks to the ideology that I have, where this Supreme Court does not have good ideas about where we should go in the future. I understand what this person is talking about. We want a candidate that's going to be serious about repaying Black Americans for the contributions that they have made to the success of America, and identifying the families that deserve it. Identifying the families that can be traced back to the 1800s, the 1700s, through census records, and right and the wrong that's been done to those families. I'm not saying every person of melanated skin tone in this country deserves reparations, but the people that have been here and the people that are the descendants of the people that made America great, as the Republicans like to say, they deserve something in the form of reparations to right the wrongs and the injustices of this country. The last point on this poster says things that would not work for the Democrats in 2028 is the Black and Brown Coalition. I'm not entirely sure what that is, so I'm going to go ahead and skip that one. User Daquan Wiltshire said, Black men, be prepared to take the blame for the outcome of this election. We've been pandered to, lied to, shamed, insulted, and demonized by, most importantly, our own people during this election. I'm sure they can't wait to place blame on us regardless of who wins. This is speaking back to what Obama said. He was insinuating that Black men were not going to support Kamala Harris for whatever reason. And based on what I've seen as the election results, it's obviously not true. Black men did come out in droves to support the Democratic Party, as Black people have done for decades at this point. We've supported the Democratic Party, and this election was no different. We didn't have a majority or even a vast number of people going out to vote in favor of Donald Trump. And it would be nice if going forward, we would stop the bullshit, as if the concerns of Black people are all met by the Democratic Party. Most people are single issue voters, and whoever they vote for, they must have heard something in that person's campaign promises that resonated with them. So if people did go vote for Donald Trump, regardless of how you feel about it, it's absolutely their right. It's absolutely their prerogative to vote for the candidate that they feel is going to give them the best advantage for their family, because that's who we're all trying to protect. We're all just trying to protect the people that we bring into this world and the people that we have responsibility for and responsibility to. Rolling Stone had this to say about the outcome of the election. Donald Trump, the twice impeached former president, January 6th coup leader, convicted felon, adjudicated sexual abuser, and the man who mismanaged the 2020 economic implosion and coronavirus disaster that killed more than 1 million people in this country, has convinced American voters to give him another term in the White House. And the image says, America elects convicted felon to be president. What's interesting to me about Trump having the opportunity to run for president in this election is that I've always heard that felons can't vote, right? If you can get convicted of a felony, you've lost your right to vote. You need to put it on every application that you do. And overall, you're demonized for whatever it is that you've done in the past. But we've also heard that when people go to jail, they're repaying their debt to society. Trump, regardless of what you feel about his conviction, was convicted in a court of law. And now, if we believe in the justice system of America, he's been convicted. But at this point, he has not paid his debt to society. Whether that be in a monetary form, whether that be in the form of imprisonment, whatever form is going to come as his debt to society, he has not paid it. He still has an outstanding debt for the 34 felony convictions that are on his record. And while felons can't vote, he can run for president. He can be the most powerful man in America with 34 felonies and not having paid his debt to society. That just doesn't make sense. And it seems like Rolling Stone agrees, but you might not. So if you like the video, subscribe to me. Be back here for the next conversation. And if you have thoughts, let the world know. This is the place for discourse. Till next time. Peace.